A new season and a new beginning here for the iR-04 Challenge Series. Welcome along everyone back to RaceSpotTV and to Friday night primetime, where we are back to witness the fantastic action that these fantastic single-seaters can bring to the track. We are here for week one in the Styrian Mountains at the Red Bull Ring, a fantastic circuit, and with 3 consecutive straights should bring some fantastic action. I am Zach Sweeney. I've got Cameron Roger alongside me with Connor Matic behind the scenes, pushing the buttons, bringing you the production feed. And well, Cam, this circuit, these cars, it should be an absolute treat.
It should be. The car was an amazing spectacle last season on many different tracks, and I'm sure here at the Red Bull Ring it's going to be the same. As you say, all the straights that sort of lead one onto the other as well. You should be able to get a massive amount of slipstream, and especially once we get up to sort of turn 3, turn 4, there's going to be some massive dive bombs here. It's going to be a great little sprint race and action-packed.
Yeah, and well, this is just week one. We do have a few tracks on the lineup. In a week's time, we will go to Watkins Glen, the likes of Interlagos, Laguna Seca, and again, Cam, similar to last season, we have got a fair mix of the traditional sort of wider F1 type circuits, and then we also have the mix of the club style circuits, the likes of Brands Hatch and Alton Park as well. We saw how last season, these cars could drive well on both sorts of tracks. We have a different roster this season, but again, it should be a similar theme of these cars can race it pretty much anywhere they go.
Absolutely, it seems to be a good thing with this car. We can go to the tight, twisty tracks. Last season, one of the more tight ones was Knock Hill that we went to, but then you got Spa as well. So it's great to see the range of tracks that this car can compete at. And I think, to be honest, it's going to be a great season. Look at all those 12 tracks coming up between now and September. It's going to be a great spectacle here on the Friday nights.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if anyone is returning after watching season 2, where we had half of the season with the iR-04s, pretty much week in, week out, we were treated to some fantastic action and some really memorable moments. And that is just the case of these cars. They're very raceable. They're not in a sense, they're fast, but they're not too fast, and you can certainly race them. And they're a challenge to drive, but again, not too challenging. And it is just that thing of getting into a rhythm, getting some consistent flow, and making sure those tires are warmed up. And that will be something that that these drivers will have to face, especially around a track like the Red Bull Ring, where a lot of it is down straight. Tire temperature will certainly be a factor today, Cam.
Yeah, when you get to the corners, they're even more important. So you need to be making sure, especially when you get to sort of sector 2 here in that middle part, we got the long, fast left-handers, sort of 6 and 7. It's it's very important to keep that momentum going at that point of the track. It's a bit more difficult to overtake in that section. So having the track position, but being able to hold on to it and not going off the track is going to be quite important. But of course, the straights, it's sort of a track of 2 halves. You've got 3 straights, and then you've got all these corners, these fast corners after it. So yeah, you really have to master the car here to get a handle of both types of corners.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a track that is a challenge. Only 10 corners long, so there isn't much in the way of opportunity to make that time up. As we see, Frasaniti on pole position at the moment, a 1:31.6, with Callum Voisin at 2 tenths behind. Of course, he races in real life, the GB3 series, and he is a race winner there. And of course, that experience will carry forward, and he actually does pip himself to provisional pole with a 31.4. So, Cam, of course, we saw last season Callum Voisin got his nose in a little bit and showed his mettle. Can he use that real-life single-seater experience to be successful today?
Oh, you'd hope so. It's obviously somewhat of a similar car in that regard. So, I mean, definitely as he goes to the top, actually. So, yeah, looking like that is working out pretty well. And I would assume there's a lot of characteristics that can be taken from one to the other. And just in general, if you're fast, if you've got that mentality to take the speed through the corners, have the bravery, that's just going to really work out, especially here when you can really push the track limits, as we saw Richard do just there, coming into the final corner to a 32.0.
Yeah, and that is a decent time as well. Gets him inside the top 5, which is absolutely no mean feat whatsoever. And of course, this track does lend itself to some pretty good overtaken opportunities, as Notbiez just unfortunately pips him to P5. Looking down the order, again, we are getting some recognisable names. Of course, the likes of Callum Voisin, we've got Ryan McKelliff and Pepe Marti as well. A lot of which that we saw from last season were those guys who were at the sharp end of the field, in the podium places, P3, P2 and P1, and gave us some really, really memorable moments. So it's nice to see that they are back and once again right at the sharp end. And looking at the qualifying order, Cam, it is really, really close. And of course, with the slipstream as well, this should be a pretty good race.
Yes, it's one of those ones where because there's so little corners, the drivers always, there's a massive slide there from McCallum coming through the final corner. because there's so little corners, you can really keep up with one another. And, you know, he does a really good job there to go up to P2, actually, only 36 thousandths of a second behind Voisin. So look how close that is. I mean, that's barely a blink of an eye. And that is really going to be, you know, the one to look out for. The cars are going to be so close, they're going to be able to stay to each other as Marty goes to the top.
Yeah, Pepe Marti doing a fantastic job. Actually, a pretty decent margin for pole position, 1.5 tenths quicker than Callum Voisin there in second place. So this should be certainly a good race to look forward to. Of course, that slipstream will lend itself really nicely. That dart towards turn 1. More crucially, though, that dash towards turn 3. But as Richard Caulfield goes through the final corner, just looking at the track extension that he uses on the outside, that will definitely be something to look out for because, yeah, especially in qualifying, you go just marginally outside that limit and you can very quickly invalidate your lap. And with these, with how iRacing works, you only get 2 laps. That certainly is going to be a crucial mistake had he invalidated his lap there.
And also when we get into the race, well, obviously a shorter race for these drivers, but they still don't want to be getting those off tracks or getting anywhere you know, involved with incident limits and things like that. Got to be keeping it on the track because that is where the positions are paid. And of course here, this is a track where you really can push those track limits. So knowing where the actual sort of limit is before you get those off tracks is going to be an important one.
And that's, of course, where experience will lend itself to pretty well. We're going to have a look at how they rack up after qualifying. It is Pepe Marti that takes pole position with a 1:31.239. Callum Voisin will join him on the front row with Ryan McKellar and Andrea Frasiniti rounding off the second row. Then comes Sem Nopjes in P5 with Caulfield rounding off the third row there in 6th place. Then comes Dorgis in P7 with Jovan Sella P8. Niall Reed in P9 with Schleiman in P10. Nick Hurley P11 with Jan Feller rounding off in P12. Maciek in P13 with Nauber in P14. Lauridsen in P15 with Ruben Warren in 16. Then comes Marco third in P17 with Andre Salander P18. Certainly a very, very close grid so far. Riley Feeney P19 with Telenes in P20. Bessenet in P21 with Emilio Fernandez in P22. Then comes Boitenga in P23 with DePaul P24. Certainly a large grid we have in store for us today, Cam. 24 cars all barreling their way towards turn 1. It's a slight uphill climb and quite a tight corner to get through.
And just watch the slipstream up towards sort of turn 3 as well, up to the top of the hill. It's really going to be a big factor on this opening lap when the cars are so close together. It's going to be very important to try and find your position on the track and try and maybe have a cheeky dive down the inside as well. But through the kink of turn 2, you've got to be careful to not cross over lines with anyone, as accidents can definitely happen there.
Yeah, for sure. That is going to be where people have to look out for. And of course, everyone's in the slipstream. Everyone's getting that benefit. There's 24 cars to look out for. And if you're all getting that benefit of the tow down a very long straight towards turn 3, you'll certainly probably see a couple of people get into the mix, maybe even 3 abreast, as everyone is, I think, lined up onto the grid. So we are just waiting for that green flag. And we are underway for Season 3 of the Friday Night Prime Time, the iR-04 Challenge Series. And it's a good start from Pepe Marti as Callum Voisin just has to settle in there in second place. Ryan McKellar trying to keep the number 4 at bay. But the top 3, as they were through turn 1 for the first time, side-by-side action a little bit further back. But this is the climb. Callum Voisin already putting the pressure on Pepe Marti as they climb the hill towards turn 3 through the kink of 2. And you can see Callum Voisin on the outside, that left-hand side. Here comes Ryan McKellar trying to get into the mix as well. Pepe Marti going to be absolutely mugged. Who is going to be braver on the brakes? Pepe Marti very late. A bit of a lock-up there from Callum Voisin. And now Ryan McKellar is going to get underneath them. They're 3 abreast on the run towards 4.
And this is getting so close. Who is going to be bigger on the brakes in turn 4 now? Still 3 abreast between these drivers. Voisin there on the outside. He technically has the lead, but let's see. Can he hold on to us? He's got the racing line, but look at the McKellar down the inside, getting up into that second place, trying to battle now for the first position as Voisin around the outside. This is very difficult for him, but it will turn into the inside. These guys still 3 abreast as we come towards the inside of turn number 6, and this is working out for Voisin because he's able to hold on to the lead, but 4th place as Frasiniti there is getting right up behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. The more they fight, the more the train behind will bring themselves back into contention. But fantastic stuff from Callum Voisin. And of course, Ryan McKellar to get himself into the mix. Here comes Pepe Marti on the counter-attack. Once again, are they going to put themselves 3 abreast? Potentially not, as the run towards turn 9 is certainly a little bit dodgy. But here comes Pepe Marti. Got a nose alongside. Here comes Ryan McKellar. Going to go the long way round. Is he? Frasiniti wants to get himself into the mix. Still side by side. This is giving Callum Voisin a bit of breathing room as Ryan McKellar forced to the outskirts of the circuit. And Frasiniti wants to get in front of Ryan McKellar. Is he going to sit back just for a little bit? You can see the number 6 of Caulfield able to make up a couple of places at the start as well. But that's the thing, the more they fight, this tow keeping everyone in touch, and you've just got so many cars and a big off through T1. That's the problem with having so many cars so close together.
Yeah, I think as Nopios has gone off, I think he's actually been able to get back on, but he's lost so many positions there, probably about 10 or so positions, trying to get back in the slipstream here, and that is not the best one. There's obviously some contact. Multiple drivers, I think, were involved in that one, but that just shows you how dangerous it can be as if we're going to get a replay.
Yeah, let's have a little look at how this one transpired. Just look at the gaggle of cars that we have. Everyone trying to share the same bit of racetrack, trying to funnel their way through, slowing down to not hit the car in front. Of course, then the car behind is at risk of hitting you into the back. Focusing on the number 8, this is Nopios. I think maybe just going in a bit too deep into turn 1, or maybe a little bit too greedy over that sausage curb, lifted the car up and around he went, and luckily managed to purr it around. But that is just a scary sight, because you spin and you've got a good, 18 or so cars behind you that will very quickly close onto the back of you. So yeah, he did well. That very easily could have ended a lot worse for him.
It could have, and I was actually surprised there wasn't more of an accident from that one. It actually was a lot kinder. That was, what it could have been. But there's been an issue for McAuliffe as well. He's gone down into 8th place as we're seeing this battle for 3rd place now. Fresnaniti is up there to 3rd, but Corfraw is all over the back of him now, and this is now the podium fight.
Yeah, indeed it is, as Pepe Marti, Callum Voisin have sort of branched off a little bit into their own couplet. Ryan McAuliffe has fallen a little bit back in that number 3 car, back to P8 or so. Defensive goes Frastaniti. Is going to invite Corthor to go the long way around at T1. Not particularly the best way to go about things. You're much better tucking in behind, getting that drive. That's exactly what Corthor has done to get that drive off of 1 and up the hill through 3. He's got a much better drive, but look out for Reed in that 17. Certainly they're in contention in the slipstream and will be picking up a nice bit of toe, getting that extra straight line speed. Down the inside goes Corthor, although he's got to be brave on the brakes in order to get this one stuck. That number 4 might be able to go the long way round and is indeed going to do so, and this fight certainly is going to boil on for quite a while.
It's great to see they're still going side by side back down the hill as well, from the highest point of the track all the way towards turn number 4. There's a few kinks in the straight, and they're still side by side actually. As we come towards the braking zone, number 4 there, Frasiniti on the outside trying to get this position back, and I think he's just about done that. Amazing move on the outside as Crawford goes back down into 4th place, but there's plenty of things happening behind him as well. All this midfield pack still so close together.
Yeah, absolutely. Just look at the pack of cars that are in hot pursuit of this podium place. And of course, that's what they're going to want. You set yourself milestones as a driver, top 10, top 5, top 3, and they will certainly want that top 3. This is Pepe Marti on the back of Callum Voisin, practically pushing him on this run towards turn 9. Are they working together? Pepe Marti didn't exactly look too eager to go for the move in towards turn 9 and 10, but is that more a case of not wanting to go for a silly move, or is that him sitting behind? Of course, they are 4 seconds away from the pack behind, but that can very quickly close if he fights a little bit too early.
Well, we saw in a certain race that you did a couple of months ago around this track, so the 2 leaders basically doing this, trying to pull themselves away with a bit of a bump drafting down these straights here, trying to get them in a position where they can have just a 2-way battle for the lead at the end of the race. If they sort of start battling now, the guys behind will start catching up, and before you know it, there'll be a 3-4-way battle once again for the lead. At least this way round, they're being safe, and they're making sure it's just going to be a battle between themselves. But I think behind them, Frasiniti and Crawford once again going side by side, even behind them, Reed and McAuliffe going side by side as well.
Yeah, absolutely, 2 by 2. Noah's Ark, they go through turn 3. McAuliffe trying to make amends for whatever happened to him as we were looking at the replay. The number 6 of Corthor once again looking to the left-hand side. It'll be the long way around at turn 4, but we've seen before how this one can work as long as the guy on your inside is a little bit respectful. It seems that Frasiniti has gone in a bit too deep, so we'll claim that corner. And here comes McAuliffe getting the better drive off turn 4. A nice tighter line through 5, and that will give him the outside of the infield section of 6. But as long as he's got that momentum just to swing the car the long way round, these cars really do lend themselves just to keeping that minimum speed up. Still side by side through the infield, and on that run towards turn 7 and 8, McAuliffe still on the right hand side, still on the long route around the corner, over the curb a little bit, still side by side. Here comes Niall Reed though, and that's the thing with having so many cars in pursuit. You get overtaken by one, you can certainly bet that someone else wants to try and get their bets and try and overtake you as well.
Especially in these cars, are all about momentum, trying to look at all the speed they're taking through that penultimate corner there, as we're seeing Reed now in that 6th place. When Corford having a bit of a bad exit, Reed might be able to get a bit of a run past him, but it's actually McAuliffe on that last couple laps getting from 8th back up into 4th, and that hasn't been a good exit. Corford losing a couple of positions, make that 3-4 positions in just one mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is certainly reminiscent of, say, a karting race where you just see everyone, the entire grid, nose to tail. Here's the fight for the race lead as Callum Voisin having to go the long way around on Pepe Marti, who's going to send one to the inside of turn 3. Has managed to get that move stuck and up into the race lead for the pole sitter, who now finally reclaims that race lead. But is Callum Voisin interested in going for the counter attack? Certainly in the slipstream and certainly close enough if he wants to launch an attack down in towards turn 4. He's certainly eyeing up, pulls to the right hand side, late under brakes, looking for that 100 mark. Pepe Marti going to see it coming, going to let him have it, going to try and go underneath, but it seems that this fight is just going to keep swapping between the two. But yeah, that certainly wasn't a hard-fought fight from Pepe Marti. Didn't want to defend that one too much.
Yeah, I think he was feeling comfortable in the lead there. As we jump back, we've got a fella here and a Scheinman. They're having a bit of a side-by-side battle once again in towards turn number 6. And that's going to be Cawthor coming back up a position there, trying to get this 6th place. He's still got the inside for turn number 7. A fella there, he's actually hanging around the outside. Fair play to that one all through turn 8 as well. And this is going to give a good run for Scheinman to get that run up towards turn number 9. Trying to go 3 wide almost as we're getting Dorke's team involved as well. 2 by 2 as we come towards turn number 9, and somehow they're all getting through safely.
This is fantastic action. Great respect between all of the drivers that they all just try and find some spaces. Dorgeest also gets up another couple of places, up into 7th place, and was managing to capitalise on that. Was on the inside line of turn 10, which is the much better place to be. Pepe Marti as well got himself back into the race lead. Once again, side by side, you can see the 19, that is Schleiman, on the inside of turn 1. That's not going to set themselves up too well for the drive up the hill, and they can't put much pressure on the 2 in front. You can see Dorgeest and Fella going side by side, once again cutting to the fight for the race lead as Callum Voisin back up the inside of Pepe Marti to reclaim that race lead once more with 11 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. So yeah, these guys not giving it up at all, and Ryan McKellar, very impressive drive up into P3.
And yeah, he's having such a good comeback as we see the 2 leaders still going side by side towards turn number 4. Marti back down the inside, Voisin on the outside going onto the curb, and he's not able to have the exit speed, although he's just about thinking about it actually on the outside of turn number 5. This will turn into the inside of turn number 6, and somehow he's still there up the inside. Marti though, round the outside, he's got the car length ahead, and I think he's just about managed to hold on. These two are fighting so well. And as you say, McAuliffe there back up into 3rd place, and he might be coming for these guys if they continue fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. McKellar has got some fantastic pace, and of course he's got Frassiniti in hot pursuit in that slipstream. He's going to just tow him along potentially to get himself onto the back of the top 2, especially as they start to fight, because yeah, McKellar has got some incredible pace, incredible consistency as well. I think only around about 15 or 16 years old is the number 3, and yeah, he's doing a fantastic job as Pepe Marti, Callum Voisin. They will be conscious of the threat of McKellar and Frassiniti, and that might put them back into that stalemate of working together as to, yeah, just try and branch away once again. Or could that be a tactic from the person leading the race to just back him up into the pack behind? They can start fighting amongst themselves, and then they can go get some clear out in front. But we'll have to wait and see how this one transpires. Callum Voisin once again putting some pressure on. It doesn't seem like this fight is going to be stopping anytime soon, Cam, because Callum Voisin going to try and go the long way around. Can't quite on that occasion.
It's quite crazy. These guys now almost every corner trying to swap positions, as Voisin now getting that slipstream back down towards turn number 4. We see this midfield also changing changing position, I should say, and battling so much as well. Dorke's up into 6th place. Cawthor went down to sort of about 8th, 9th position. He's back up into 7th as well. They are so close from that 5th place all the way down really to sort of 15th place. They're just a few seconds with all these drivers. Look at this. It's crazy into turn 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Dorke's managing to get in front of the lot, but you can see side by side between Fella and Cawthor through turn 5, and it will be the inside for turn 6 for that white and green car. Now just trying to nip his nose to the inside. The orange car going to go the long way around. That is Fella going to get the move done to consolidate P7. And once again, they are just fighting nose to tail. This entire pack of cars giving us some fantastic action. We don't really know where to look, whether that be at the front or between the fight amongst the midfield. This is the fight for 3rd between McKellar and Frassiniti, both of whom have actually lost a little bit of time to the front too, and will eventually say Frassiniti at the moment and saying, okay, yeah, fair enough, we can try and go and catch. Will there be a point, Cam, especially now in the second half of this race, where Frassiniti says, nah, you know what, I want to lead this train, I want to be the first one to try and close that gap?
I think at this point the smartest move is to basically just push that number 3 machine of McAuliffe up the hill, try and sort of bump draft their way up towards these leaders. And interestingly, number 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the road is also cars number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just showing you where the talent, has the cream has risen to the top, as they say. But yeah, I think for Frassiniti, I definitely think he just needs to try and slipstream and push his way up there if they want to have any hope of getting on the top 2 steps.
Especially if they just be patient and wait for that final couple of laps, that final 4 minutes or so, where Marty and Voisin will then start ramping up the pressure and having a bit more of a fight. Looking a little bit further down because the fight between Feller and Cawthorne certainly hasn't stopped at all. The number 6 of Cawthorne going to try and go the long way round of turn 4. You can see Feller still on the inside, side by side through 5 once more. And number 6 once again going to have to try and claim the corner of the first of the 2 infield left-handers. The number 9 going to try and go the long way round. That's going to be Feller has to tuck him behind though. A bit of a snap of oversteer, and that's the thing. You make one tiny correction in these cars, and as you said a little bit earlier on, how these cars are so momentum based, you lose that momentum and it's so easy to lose a lot of time.
Yeah, you got to be keeping the car going in the straight line as much as you can. It's easier said than done as they're on the grass coming up towards turn number 9. There's Nubar trying to get the space, trying to find every little centimetre, an inch of track as he can, but unfortunately not being able to sort of work their way. So we've seen a replay here of the bit of a slide that we saw a couple of corners ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nobel just right onto the back of this. Just trying to stay in touch. That's the main thing, is to just stay in touch. Stay there, be patient, and then hopefully the race will come to you.
There's actually the number 11 car there of Marco here, trying to find some room, wiggling just a little bit too much, but not quite able to get that space. Let's see as we come up towards the hairpin. Is he going to be able to go around the outside this time? Bit of contact. He's going to go wide. We've got the number 15 of Paul there coming up the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Still just trying to find their way through as they fight for the top 10 places. And there's just so many cars in contention for these, higher up places towards the sharp end of what is a 24-car grid. So, yeah, certainly have had to earn this and had to have some good pace in order to be in this position. And, yeah, it's been so hard fought. The pressure has been on from start to finish. You're trying to look forward, but you've also got to keep the guy behind at bay as well. But, yeah, Dorgeest, he looked behind in his mirror, saw the battle between Cawthorne and Feller rage on for a few laps, and now he might actually have them both knocking at his front doorstep as off goes. This is Schleiman through turn 6, and that has very easily happened. And yeah, unfortunately for him, has gone for a spin. Going to have a look at how this one happened. Was it a little bit over the curb? Was it too ambitious trying to get back through? We'll certainly have a little look at how this one happened, Cal.
We will come out towards turn 6, looking okay at this moment in time. Wonders there, a little bit of a dive, a little bit too much there, a little bit too much speed. Yeah, maybe just a little bit off the line as well, losing the rear end, having too much confidence in that front end, and the rear not agreeing with that, going around. And unfortunately, it wasn't too big a spin, but it probably lost him about 10 positions or so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how close it has been. It was a minor mistake with major consequences. And yeah, that is certainly frustrating, especially with only, a small portion of this race left to go. You can't be making those mistakes. But yeah, again, you lean too much on the front end in these cars. The rear end just will not cooperate and it will go round on you. Still, once again, the fight between Martin Voisin, Mikhailov and Frassiniti rages on between the 2 couplets, and still between Cawthorne and Feller, who can't quite seem to get enough of each other. The number 6 of Cawthorne still on the left-hand side. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? It's going to be Cawthorne in order to get himself in front as they turn into the apex of turn 4. Dorgeest, though, yeah, he wants to capitalise on these sort of fights where, Cawthorne and Feller are batting away and losing each other time, but it just seems that he can't quite get that gap. Is that because, Cawthorne and Feller are fighting at the right times, that they're close enough still on the straights to stay in touch with that toe?
I think he's actually just got the speed to hold on, but as you say, not enough to pull away. He did work his way up through that midfield pack towards the front of this the top bunch of this midfield, and it seems like he's able to hold that position. As you say, not quite enough speed to start pulling away. And talking of pulling away, though, Pepe Marti, he's now got a bit of a gap, almost 1 second to Voisin as we come up the hill once again.
Yeah, absolutely. He's managed to pull away, has Pepe Marti. Callum Voisin trying to stay in touch of that slipstream range, which is around about a second or so, just slightly under, maybe around about 7 or 8 tenths of a second or so. So he is teetering on the edge of that crucial slipstream range that he's going to want. But yeah, Pepe Marti has put the laps in where they can, being consistent and broken free, because that's the most important thing at a track like the Red Bull Ring, is getting away, getting out, because even if you're a couple of tenths a lap slower, you can certainly stay in touch with the slipstream. Dorgie's finally under pressure from Cawthor, who has a look around the outside of turn 3. These two will fight and have a drag race all the way down the hill, as once again that number 11 car getting it a little bit squirrely. Is Fella going to get into the mix, make it 3 abreast? As you can see, Dorgie's going all the way over to the right hand side, opens the middle up for Fella, who doesn't want to get involved. He's going to instead try and go underneath the pair of them. He might be able to get the 6, but unfortunately that one's not going to transpire. He has to sit idle for now.
Yeah, Fella's doing a smart race here. He's able to notice that 3 wide isn't going to get him any positions just yet, but Cawthor now to the outside of turn 6, still trying it all over the curb, but not quite able to get himself up into that 6th place. And this battle is really starting to heat up as the cars behind actually have sort of dropped away a bit. This is now definitely a three-way battle as we come to the final 3 minutes of the race already. Cawthor once again towards the outside, this time on turn number 9, but not enough to make any sort of inroads at this moment.
Yeah, no, not at all. Dorgie's doing enough in order to keep the two at bay and consolidate that P6. But of course, with a couple of laps to go, he is going to have to work for it. Defensive to the right-hand side down the pit straight. Cawthor going to go to the left. It will be a tricky move to make around the outside of turn 1. He is going to go for it and have a little look. Going to beach himself over that sausage curve, have to go off circuit. That might be a slowdown. At the very least, it will be an off track. And Dorgie's will certainly have some words to say about that one. But he has got the slipstream. They're going to snake their way up conga line-esque down towards turn 3, or I should say up the hill towards turn 3. As you can see, Cawthor going defensive. Dorgie's going to find the gap, dummy his way to the inside. Yeah, not quite able for Cawthor to get back underneath him as Dorgie's parks it very nicely. But here comes Fella to the outside, going to capitalise off this one as best he can with a better drive. That's the thing, patience pays off. If you can sit back and get the drive where it counts, he might be able to get himself ahead and towards the braking zone.
And that worked out so well for Jan Fella there, going around the outside, but he's gone too wide in turn number 4, and that is that position lost, unfortunately. Richard Cawthor back up into 7th place. Fella almost made that work, almost got a double overtake, but just not enough. As all, who's this in the wall? Is that the number 19 of Schleiman? Oh, and there's Paul actually down into number 17th. The number 15 car, unfortunately, having a bit of an issue there on the exit of turn 4. Not one you always see, but certainly with 4 other cars around him. Let's see how this happened.
Yeah, absolutely. There is very busy. There's a lot to take in. He's got the 23 for company, but I think he just goes in a little bit too deep towards turn 4. That 11, of course, on the outside has to be conscious of that. But for him, he was just taking his normal line. The 11 went in a little bit too deep. And yeah, unfortunately for Powell, that just the car just didn't cooperate. And those things start to happen. Back to the live feed, it's Ryan McKellar and Frasiniti still certainly in touch of each other. Ryan McKellar unable to make much progress towards the front 2 as Pepe Marti has just completely soared away from Callum Voisin behind. So most of our attention has been taken up by the likes of Dorgie's, Cawthor and Fella, who are still in this triplet fight for P6.
Yeah, and this might already be the final lap with just a minute remaining as the car's coming up the hill as we go with 3 wide once again towards turn number 3. Dorgie's holds on, but now fell up the inside this lap around. Is he going to be able to once again use that slipstream, tries to get himself ahead of Cawthor, who made a bit of a mistake once again into that same corner 2 laps in a row. And now Dorgie's on the outside. Can they hold on towards the braking zone? No, not many corners left now for these guys. Cawthor all the way to the outside, getting back past Fella, trying to go the outside though, all over the gravel, and that has not worked.
Yeah, no, not at all. That was a little bit too ambitious for him. This is Pepe Marti, our race leader, 1.8 seconds clear of Callum Voisin, and this will be the penultimate lap. It'll be quite close, only a few seconds in it, but he will get an extra lap just to enjoy the moment and bring it home. 10 more corners left in this race then for our pole sitter of Pepe Marti, but that certainly hasn't told the full story at all, because yeah, he certainly had to work for it, and he has put in the work since he reclaimed that race lead. He's completely soared away from the likes of Callum Voisin behind him. Well, Callum Voisin, he's no mean slouch, so to beat him certainly is an accomplishment.
Absolutely, it's been a great battle between the guys at the front there, but Marti manages to get almost a 2-second lead now as the race goes on. And look at this fella using that slipstream, trying to keep ahead of Cawthor. He's managed to finally be able to, many laps he's been stuck behind there, but now as we come on to the final lap, is he going to be able to get past Dorgie's as well as we come up the hill?
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be one of their final opportunities because, yeah, their main opportunities will be down in towards turn 3 and turn 4. Not much in the way in order to do it anywhere else. Are they going to be 3 abreast? Because you can see Dorgies to the right-hand side. Fella going to fill the middle. Cawthorne going to try and go the long way around of the pair of them. Going to settle in, go underneath them. Not quite. They are still 6, 7, and 8 as they were. Here comes Sella, though, into the mix in that number 7. That just goes to show how hard these guys have been fighting. To the right goes Dorgies. Fella once again to the left of turn 4. Number 6 going to fill the middle. That's going to be very, very tricky. They've been fighting so hard. It's been a fantastic battle between the 3.
It has, and it's not going to stop just yet. Coming towards turn number 6. He's trying to hold on to this, but Crawshaw to the outside, trying to go all the way around the outside. Last lap attempt, last couple of corners attempt, but he's still there through turn number 6, and now to the outside of turn number 7. Can he try and make it work? I think he might just be able to hold on. This will be the inside, but he goes on the gravel.
Oh, this is so intense between the 3 of them. Pepe Marti and Callum Voisin have both crossed the line, P1 and P2. Fantastic race from them, but we can't take our eyes off these. 3 abreast in towards turn 9. Dorgies just about hangs on. A huge crash between the number 7 of Sella and the number 9 of Fella. That is absolute calamity for them. What a way to end this race. Dorgies comes home in P6 with Cawthorne P8. In fact, he got a slowdown off the final corner, I think. Maybe it wasn't. No Bauer. There's just so many cars crossing the line at the same time. The tower doesn't really know what to do with them, and that was such an intense end to that race. Yeah, Pepe Marti, Callum Voisin and McKellar, your podium, but well, Cam, that was so intense.
That was building up to something on that final lap, and they were trying it in that final a couple of corners, and unfortunately I just saw a bit of contact, which is not necessarily what we want to see. The number 7 car just getting up the inside there, just a little bit too late. I'm a bit of an issue. I'm pushing the 9 car wide, and eventually it was a Nobel who managed to make up position for that. But look at Cawthorne all over the gravel as well. These guys fighting for every single, literally, millimetre of the track.
Yeah, absolutely. They all want the same bit of racetrack. Unfortunately, cars aren't ghosted. It was that domino effect, wasn't it? Dorgiest on the inside. I think the number 7 just tapped him a little bit. Sella just tapped him, bounced off into Fella, who's on the outside. And that is the danger of going 3 abreast into one of the fastest corners on the circuit. Those things will happen. You can see it wasn't Dorgiest, in fact. Well, actually it was on the right-hand side. Yeah, just tried to turn in. Thought he was safe. Thought he was clear. And yeah, that again, just one of those small mistakes that have some drastic consequences. And well, I guess that was to be expected with how hard these guys were fighting.
Yeah, it was a difficult situation there for number 7 car to actually work out where the turning point was going to be, and just unfortunately turning in a little bit too early. But for sure, that was such an entertaining race, and so much so we unfortunately didn't see Marty coming across the line, because he did such a good race there to take the victory by a good couple of seconds in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Played his cards to perfection. He just got himself in front and didn't look back since. We're going to have a look at how they rack up after 20 minutes of racing. It was the pole sitter Pepe Marti in the number 1 car that did take the win ahead of Callum Voisin and Ryan McKellar 2nd and 3rd, rounding off the podium. Frasiniti in P4, Renard Reid rounding off the top 5. Then comes Jesse Dorgies in P6, Marcus Nobauer P7, and Richard Cawthorne P8. A fantastic fight between those 3, and Nobauer getting himself into the mix right at the depth of it in order to snatch himself a cheeky P7. Riley Feeney P9 with Jovan Sella rounding off the top 10 in what was a very intense fight amongst the midfield. The fast lap was a 1:30.725 by Pepe Marti. Just goes to show his pace, able to stretch over a 2.5 second gap. And I think we are going to look back 11th down with Marco Thurt P11 with Jan Fella unfortunately falling out of the top 10 in a final lap. Just collision with the people he was fighting, and that's how things happen sometimes. Andre Solanda P13 with Emilio Fernandez 14th, Maritzen P15 with Schleiman. So unfortunately today didn't go their way. Rounds off 16th for Seb, Nopjes P17, Makarech in P18, Selena's P19, Set in P20. Yeah, it wasn't a good day for these guys a little bit further back. Something's not quite going their way. DePau P21 with Hurley P22, Ruben Moran P23, and Butenga, I don't think made it to the checker flag, was over a lap behind and finished P24 plumb last. But yeah, 14 laps of fantastic action there, Cam. We really couldn't have asked for more.
Absolutely, not a good way to start the season as well. Just showing this iR-04 is it's good wherever it goes. The action goes up and down the field, and to be honest, I can't wait for next week now to see what these guys are going to do once again on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. We travel to Watkins Glen next week, which is a track that is pretty different to the Red Bull Ring. There's a lot more in the way of corners, but yeah, should certainly still be a lot of fun in these iR-04s because, yeah, as we always say, they can be raced pretty much anywhere you put them. And, well, that concludes our action for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Zach Sweeney, Cameron Roger alongside me, and Connery Maddock behind the scenes, pushing the buttons, giving you the production feed. That was a fantastic race. We hope you all have enjoyed. That was round 1 of season 3 of Friday Night Primetime, brought to you by the iR-04 Challenge Series. We'll see you in a week's time, same time next week. And, well, we certainly cannot wait. We'll see you then, and take care. Bye-bye.